In this world full of uncertainty, where daily life often brings emotional storms and silent struggles, the search for true happiness can feel like a distant dream. Yet, the timeless teachings of the Buddha gently remind us that happiness is not found outside ourselves, nor is it dependent on perfect conditions. Instead, it blossoms quietly within, rooted in mindfulness, nourished by compassion, and sustained by wisdom. This video will explore how Buddhist wisdom can guide us to peace of mind and emotional clarity, even during the most difficult times. Through non-attachment, inner observation, and acceptance, we can uncover the subtle joy that exists beyond our expectations and worries. Today, we'll reflect on 6 essential truths from the Buddha's path, each offering a clear and calm perspective on how to transform our suffering into serenity and our fear into freedom. From letting go of expectations to practicing gratitude, these teachings are not merely philosophies but living practices that can lead to deep spiritual growth and healing. Whether you are going through personal loss, aging with grace, or simply seeking how to be happy alone, these insights will offer direction. With a calm mind and open heart, you are invited to walk this mindful pathway, where even sorrow becomes a teacher and stillness becomes a source of strength. Let's begin this journey, not by escaping our reality, but by gently awakening to it, with the same quiet confidence that guided the Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree. As you listen, allow each word to settle like a soft breeze, guiding you back to yourself, to the inner peace that was always there, patiently waiting. Let us begin with the first and perhaps most misunderstood aspect of our search for inner peace: how to stop chasing happiness and start living it. In the Buddha's teachings, we are reminded that happiness is not a distant goal to be hunted down, it is a state of being that can only arise when we are fully present and at peace within ourselves. Too often, we move through life thinking happiness lies in the next job, the next relationship, the next possession, or even the next day. We run endlessly, exhausting ourselves in a pursuit that never truly ends. But Buddhism gently asks us to pause and look inward. Let us take a moment to reflect on a simple story from a quiet village in Southeast Asia, where the wisdom of life flows like the gentle river that runs beside it. In this village lived an old fisherman named Anurak, who each morning went out to the river with nothing more than a wooden canoe and a simple fishing net. One day, a young man from the city visited the village, looking for peace. He saw Anurak calmly paddling home with a modest catch of fish and asked, "Why don't you fish longer and earn more money? You could buy a bigger boat, catch more fish, and soon become rich." The old man smiled and replied, "And what would I do then?" The young man said, "You could retire early, move to a peaceful place, and enjoy your life." Anurak laughed softly, his weathered face shining with quiet joy, "But I am already doing that." This story holds a mirror to our modern lives. Like the young man, we are often caught in a restless cycle, always trying to earn, gain, and achieve in the hope that happiness will greet us at the end of our struggle. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us that such craving only deepens our dissatisfaction. True contentment arises when we let go of the illusion that happiness exists somewhere else, somewhere in the future, and begin to fully inhabit the present moment. Chasing happiness is like chasing the wind, we run faster, yet the wind remains just beyond reach. The Buddha said, "There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path." This profound truth reminds us that joy is not something to acquire, it is something to live. When we align our lives with simplicity, awareness, and compassion, happiness begins to blossom naturally, like a lotus rising from still water. We no longer need to run, because we are already here. We begin to see beauty in the ordinary, a warm cup of tea, the rustle of leaves, a kind smile. And in these moments, we stop chasing happiness and begin to live it. The more we chase, the more we forget what is right in front of us. But the moment we sit still, breathe deeply, and observe with gentle eyes, we realize that everything we need to be joyful already lives within us. This is not a philosophy to be believed, it is a truth to be lived. And it begins the moment we stop running and start being. In this quiet presence, the heart opens, and peace arises, not as a destination, but as a companion on the journey. So, let us stop chasing and simply arrive, here, now, where happiness has always patiently waited. Now, we arrive at the second essential reflection in our journey. Why suffering is optional, even when pain is inevitable. This may sound surprising at first, especially when we consider the hardships life brings: illness, separation, aging, and eventually, death. Pain, the Buddha acknowledged, is woven into the fabric of human experience. No one escapes it. But suffering, he taught, is not a requirement, it is a mental and emotional burden we add to pain, often unknowingly, through attachment, resistance, and craving for things to be different than they are. To illustrate this truth, let us consider the powerful story of Kisa Gautami, a woman from ancient India who lived at the time of the Buddha. She was a young mother filled with joy, until tragedy struck. Her only child fell ill and died suddenly. In unbearable grief, she carried her lifeless child from house to house, begging for medicine to bring him back. People turned away in sorrow, unable to help, until one elder directed her to the Buddha. When she arrived before him, weeping and desperate, the Buddha told her he could make medicine, but she must first bring him a single mustard seed from a household that had never known death. With a glimmer of hope, Kisa Gautami knocked on door after door, asking for the seed. But in every home, she heard the same answer: yes, we have mustard seeds, but we too have lost someone. Slowly, her eyes began to open. As she walked from house to house, her grief shifted into awareness. She saw that death was not her burden alone, but a universal truth. She returned to the Buddha, not with a mustard seed, but with a transformed heart. From her deep pain, she realized that suffering came not only from the loss itself, but from believing she was alone in her sorrow, from resisting the truth of impermanence. This story touches a truth we all live with: pain will visit every life, but suffering takes root when we argue with reality. The Buddha said, "The arrow of pain strikes the body, but the second arrow of suffering is one we shoot ourselves." When we cling to the past or refuse the present moment, we add the second arrow: our thoughts, our resistance, our fear. But when we see pain clearly, without resistance, it softens. We suffer less not by avoiding pain, but by changing our relationship to it. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to embrace mindfulness, to sit with discomfort, observe it without judgment, and allow it to pass like clouds across the sky. In doing so, we discover the space between pain and suffering, a space filled with peace, clarity, and freedom. Just like Kisa Gautami, we begin to awaken. We see that our suffering is not proof that something is wrong with us, but an invitation to grow in wisdom. Life's challenges, when met with awareness, become doorways to spiritual growth. We begin to suffer less, not because life gets easier, but because our minds become steadier. The winds still blow, but we are no longer shaken. The Buddha taught not to eliminate pain but to liberate the heart from suffering. When we let go of resistance, we return to the present with compassion. And in that calm space, peace of mind gently arises, not because all is perfect, but because we are no longer held captive by our own thoughts. Let us remember this: suffering is not our destiny. Awareness is. Freedom is. And peace, even in sorrow, is possible. Now, let us move into the third and equally vital truth on this journey toward inner peace: the secret to mastering your mind and controlling your emotions. This teaching is deeply rooted in the Buddha's words and offers a pathway to liberation from the storm of reactive emotions, anger, jealousy, fear, and sorrow, that so often cloud our judgment and disturb our peace of mind. The Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." And yet, most people live as slaves to their thoughts, carried away by every emotional wave without knowing how to anchor themselves in stillness. But the mind, like a wild elephant, can be tamed, not through force, but through wise attention, meditation, and mindful observation. To understand this more clearly, let us turn to a simple yet profound story from the Buddhist tradition. Long ago, in a distant kingdom in the East, there lived a proud king tormented by restlessness and anxiety. He had wealth, power, and pleasure, but no inner peace. One day, he summoned a revered monk, asking, "Why does my heart remain troubled, even when I have everything?" The monk replied gently, "Come, your majesty, walk with me to the garden." There, he bent down and scooped a handful of sand, then asked the king to hold out his hand. The monk slowly poured the sand into the king's palm and said, "Now, close your fist tightly around it." The king did so. Soon, the sand began to leak through his fingers and blow away in the breeze. "Do you see?" said the monk. "When you grasp too tightly, you lose control. The harder you cling, the more slips away." Then he said, "Now, open your palm." The king did, and the sand sat still in his hand, undisturbed. The monk continued, "The mind is like this. When you try to control emotions through force, they escape you. But when you observe them gently, they settle. Peace comes not by grasping but by letting be." The king was silent, but the lesson sank deep into his heart. This story reflects a great truth the Buddha taught again and again, that the wise do not suppress emotions, nor do they indulge them. Instead, they observe with mindfulness, knowing that all emotions arise and pass like waves. When anger comes, we do not need to act on it. We can simply notice, "This is anger." And in doing so, we give it no fuel. The same is true for fear, envy, sadness. The more we bring awareness to the moment, the less control these emotions have over us. Through meditation, breath awareness, and reflection, we begin to see that emotions are like clouds passing through the vast sky of the mind. They do not define us. Mastery begins with noticing. It deepens with non-reaction. And it blossoms in compassion. The Buddha taught that one moment of mindful awareness can stop 1,000 moments of suffering. When we observe without judgment, when we breathe instead of react, we reclaim our power. We become less like a candle flickering in the wind and more like a steady flame. In this calm clarity, peace of mind is no longer a distant goal, it becomes our daily experience. We realize that we are not the emotion, we are the awareness beneath it. And in this awareness lies freedom. Now, we arrive at the fourth truth on this mindful path: how to let go of expectations and embrace life as it is. This teaching, simple yet deeply transformative, holds the power to free us from much of the emotional suffering we carry. The Buddha taught that expectation is one of the roots of human dissatisfaction. When we hold tight to how we think life should unfold, how others should behave, how events should turn out, or how our path should look, we create a gap between reality and our desires. That gap becomes a source of tension, disappointment, and inner conflict. Letting go of expectations does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. Rather, it is about releasing the inner grip of control and allowing life to unfold without resistance. It begins with awareness. We start noticing how often our minds create invisible scripts for people and situations, scripts that say, "They should respect me," or "This should go according to plan." Each time we catch these thoughts, we pause, breathe, and gently say to ourselves, "Can I let this go?" This practice of softening our mental grip opens a doorway to acceptance. Acceptance is not weakness, it is wisdom. It recognizes that life is impermanent, uncertain, and ever-changing. Instead of resisting change, we move with it. Instead of clinging to a fixed outcome, we respond with calm presence. And in doing so, we protect our peace of mind. The Buddha often reminded his followers that clinging leads to suffering, while release leads to freedom. When we stop expecting others to fulfill our unspoken needs, we open space for deeper compassion. When we let go of rigid plans, we become more flexible, more present, more alive to the moment. To live without expectation is to trust the unfolding of life. It means choosing peace over perfection, presence over control. We begin by simplifying our thoughts. Instead of saying, "This should not be happening," we say, "This is happening. How can I respond wisely?" Instead of saying, "They should not treat me this way," we ask, "What is this moment teaching me about my own heart?" Such inner shifts may seem small, but they open vast inner space. We breathe easier. We carry less burden. We become less reactive and more reflective. In this way, we begin to live from a place of equanimity, a calm and balanced mind untouched by the highs and lows of the world. This is not about becoming detached or uncaring. It is about loving life more deeply because we are no longer demanding it to be different. We embrace life as it is, with all its joy and pain, beauty and loss. We move from grasping to gratitude. And in this space of surrender, true peace arises, not the fleeting peace of perfect circumstances, but the steady peace of an awakened heart. So, as you move forward on this path, gently notice the expectations that rise within you, and ask, is this helping me find freedom? If not, release it like a leaf in the wind, and rest in the deep stillness of the present moment, where life is always enough. Let us now turn to the fifth teaching in this journey, the power of mindfulness in finding true contentment. In the teachings of the Buddha, mindfulness, known as sati, is not just a practice, but a way of being that leads directly to peace of mind and deep inner contentment. In a world that is constantly shifting, filled with distractions, uncertainties, and the endless pull of desires, mindfulness offers a stable anchor. It is the art of being fully present with each moment, without judgment, without grasping, and without pushing anything away. When we live mindfully, we begin to see clearly how the mind moves, how emotions rise and fall, and how much of our suffering comes not from what is happening, but from our resistance to it. Contentment is not found in perfect situations, it is born in our relationship with the present moment. The Buddha taught that if we train our awareness to rest gently in what is here now, this breath, this sensation, this feeling, we begin to dissolve the craving that fuels dissatisfaction. We stop chasing after what we don't have and start appreciating what is already before us. A warm cup of tea, the sound of birds, the simplicity of a quiet afternoon, all become sources of peace when met with mindfulness. It is through mindful presence that we realize happiness is not something we find outside of ourselves. It is a quality we cultivate from within. When we practice mindfulness in daily life, whether walking, eating, speaking, or even feeling difficult emotions, we develop a calm clarity that no external success can provide. This clarity allows us to respond instead of react, to hold space instead of judge, and to choose peace over panic. Slowly, contentment begins to arise, not as a reward, but as a natural result of living with awareness. It is a quiet joy, unshaken by the highs and lows of life. Mindfulness also teaches us that we don't have to fix everything to be at peace, we only have to be present with what is. And from this presence, we gain insight, compassion, and freedom. So as we walk this path, let us return again and again to the present moment, where contentment patiently waits, not in what we wish for, but in what already is. Now we gently arrive at the sixth and final teaching in our journey, why gratitude can transform everything around you. In the Buddha's path to liberation, gratitude is not merely a pleasant feeling, it is a profound state of awareness that softens the heart, dissolves pride, and invites inner peace. It is the soil in which contentment grows and the medicine for a restless, dissatisfied mind. When we cultivate gratitude, we shift from focusing on what is missing to seeing what is already present. Even in hardship, the Buddha taught that there is always something to honor, the breath we still draw, the lessons we still receive, the people who offer us kindness, and the chance, always the chance, to begin again. In one ancient Buddhist story from a remote monastery deep in the forest, a humble young monk named Anuruddha was assigned to care for the sick and elderly monks. It was difficult work, day and night filled with cleaning wounds, changing robes, and lifting frail bodies. Some monks grumbled about the labor, but Anuruddha carried it out with serenity. One day, a senior monk asked him, "How do you serve without frustration?" Anuruddha bowed his head and said, "Each task reminds me of my own blessings, my healthy limbs, my peaceful mind, my teacher's wisdom. In each act, I am given more than I give." His attitude inspired the entire monastery. It was said that even the birds quieted when Anuruddha passed, sensing the stillness in his heart. Gratitude had transformed his daily duties into a path of awakening. This story reminds us that gratitude isn't about waiting for ideal conditions. It's about opening our eyes to the sacredness of the ordinary. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful." This teaching invites us to look again, more deeply, at what we so often overlook. We can begin the practice of gratitude by taking just a few quiet minutes each day to reflect, what do I have that others may long for? Who has helped me in ways I've never fully acknowledged? What difficulties have shaped my strength? These questions gently turn the heart from lack to abundance. Gratitude also improves our relationships, for when we appreciate others, not just for what they do, but for who they are, we begin to meet them with kindness, patience, and deeper understanding. The energy we carry transforms the energy we share. Even our environment responds to a grateful presence, conversations soften, tensions ease, and our days unfold with a quieter grace. Gratitude also dismantles the illusion that happiness lies in accumulation. Instead of reaching for more, we realize we already have enough. We stop racing, and we start resting in the fullness of life as it is. With time, this state becomes a way of seeing, not just a feeling. We become more resilient, more forgiving, more alive. And so, as you end this reflection, consider what you are grateful for, not in grand gestures, but in the simple, the near, the now. Let your gratitude be quiet, sincere, and steady like a candle in the dark. For in this humble flame lies the power to transform not only how you see the world, but how the world responds to your light. As we gently arrive at the end of this journey together, reflecting on the teachings we have explored, from letting go of the chase for happiness, to understanding the choice within suffering, from mastering the mind and emotions, to embracing life without expectations, and discovering the quiet power of mindfulness and gratitude, it is clear that the path to true happiness is not found in changing the world around us, but in transforming how we meet each moment with awareness, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddha did not promise a life without pain, but he offered a way to live with clarity and peace amid all of life's changes. In these teachings, we are reminded that peace of mind, spiritual growth, and emotional clarity are not distant ideals, they are practical truths we can embody right now, no matter our age, our past, or our situation. Every breath offers a new beginning. Every moment is a chance to soften our grip, open our hearts, and see life just as it is, with gentleness and understanding. The way forward is not by escaping life, but by entering it more fully, with less resistance and more presence. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, not to fix or force, but to witness with stillness, to walk the middle way with balance, and to meet joy and sorrow with the same deep awareness. Whether you are walking alone, seeking healing, aging with grace, or simply longing for peace, you are not alone on this path. The Buddha's teachings echo softly across time to remind us. Peace begins within. If we learn to stop chasing what we think we need and start honoring what is already here, we discover that even the most ordinary day holds the potential for awakening. Through mindfulness, non-attachment, and quiet reflection, the world becomes less something to control, and more something to understand. Let go, breathe deeply, and allow the present moment to be enough. And now, as we close this sacred reflection, we invite you to become a part of this mindful community. If this video resonated with you, please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. What teachings spoke to your heart? Have you experienced a shift in your own journey toward inner peace or spiritual growth? Your story, no matter how small it may seem, can inspire and comfort someone else walking a similar path. We would love to hear how you practice mindfulness, how you've embraced solitude or overcome suffering, or what you're still learning to let go of. Let this space be a gentle gathering of kind souls. And if you found value here, please consider subscribing to Mindful Pathway Media and sharing this video with others who may be searching for peace, clarity, or healing. Together, we can spread calmness in a noisy world, and continue walking the Buddha's path, one mindful step at a time.